All right, story time. All right, so this is 2019. Like 2019 was my second time over in New Zealand. I do a tour over in New Zealand, Australia, Fiji. This particular time, 2019, at this time I was in New Zealand. And I had maybe like 16 shows out there. And this one particular, we stopped into this small town. Now, it was two people on the show. It was me, and it was this American guy, Keith Ross Nelson, comedian. I think he's from California. Anyway, we do this show in this small town called Pataru. I think it's Pataru, New Zealand. Very small town. This was a small town show. And we was performing in this hotel, like down in the restaurant area. So it was a very small, it was like a small crowd when we got there. It was like a small crowd, but there was an owner, it was a mom and pop's owner there. And when we were in there, now I'm headlining the show. So my guy Steve is open, he's the opener, so he's on stage. And he's doing his stuff, and I see a guy, I see some riffraff going on at the door. But it's, you know, in a comedy show, when a comedy show going on and shit, you can hear all the talking and stuff. So I look over at the door, and there's a guy trying to get into the show. But the owner, he's a little guy, he was owning with his wife. He was at the door telling the guy, hey man, you know, you can't come in here. You can't come in here, man. The guy was, you know, he was real pushy at the door. The show is going on, so it catches my attention because I almost want to say, yo, y'all making too much noise, right? But I'm sitting in the back of the room. I'm the headliner. I'm sitting in the back of the room. He's steady trying to force to get in. So finally, he looks like he's trying to force his way in. So I'm looking around now. I'm in here. I'm in a whole nother country, right? But I'm looking around at the people in here because the guy that was trying to get in wasn't no little dude. So I'm looking around like, man, if this motherfucker get in here, man, it could really be an issue. And I'm looking around like, can't none of these motherfuckers do nothing with this guy. So I said, you know what? I'm going to get up. I'm going to go outside and I'm going to calm this shit down. Mind you, I'm in Pataru, New Zealand, small town, far as fuck from home. So I go out here and this guy is standing toe. He ain't toe to toe because he's taller. He probably my height, maybe a little taller. And he was talking like aggressive to the little owner. And the owner was like, yo, I don't want him to come in. I'm like, my man, what's the problem? He like, man, this guy's not letting me in this fucking show. He's not letting me in this fucking show. I'm trying to come to the fucking show, and he's not letting me in the fucking show, man. And he's mugging the door. I'm like, yo. First of all, man, you gotta calm down, man. I was like, that energy, he can't let you up in here with all that, with that type of energy. I was like, it's Americans in here. I'm talking about my motherfucking self. I'm like, it's Americans in here, man. We can't let you up in here with that energy. Now, what's the real deal? And the owner's like, yeah, man, because he's a little guy, so he's almost standing behind me and shit. He like, yeah, this guy comes in and he fucking comes in and he extorts my restaurant. So, because this come to find out, the dude was in a gang. He was in a gang called the Mongrel Gangs, like the Mongrels. I had never heard of that, but they was in the Mongrel Gang. And they was terrorizing this little town. This shit sound crazy, but they was terrorizing this town. And he was going into this restaurant, making this guy give him free drinks and shit so he don't terrorize the restaurant. He would give him free drinks and shit. So anyway, I'm like, yeah. So he's like, yeah, man, he been, you know, he comes and he fucking try to take free stuff from me all the time. So I'm like, my man, what's the deal? I said, you got to respect him, man. I said, he got his wife in here. He got his wife in here, man. You got to respect him. He can't let you up in here, man. Do you want him to respect you? Yes. So he looking at me because he faded. So now he looking at me because I'm looking him straight in his eye like, my man, you got to respect the guy. You can't. Come on. The whole time, Keith is still on the stage telling jokes. I'm outside, calming this guy down. Don't look like nobody else outside. So finally, I step all the way outside. Now I'm outside of the show, outside of the club. Me and this guy going, just talking. He looking and shit. Out the darkness, come about 3 or 4 motherfuckers, right? I guess these is other gang member friends and shit. So now these motherfuckers done crowded around. The owner done went back in the store. I look up in the window. One of my tour managers is standing up in the window. Little guy, Steve Green, he's standing up in the window looking. Now, New Zealand, these folks ain't really super violent like that. So all this shit to the regular person is like, yo. So they looking out the window like, oh shit. The star of the show is outside of the club, surrounded by mongrel gang members, right? They got me partially surrounded, like in the U, right? It's only one guy standing here talking to me, but everybody else backing up. So I'm like, yeah, man, yeah, man, it's got to be respect. Woo, 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 woo. It's got, and mind you, it's dark. So I'm standing there, my man, like, yeah, all right. All right. He kind of like, all right. He kind of back off a little bit. He calmed down. He like, all right. Then some of the gamers was like, yo, nice watch. So I'm like, okay. I was like, yeah, you like it? Because at this point, they ain't squared up. They just standing around. They like, nice watch. So I'm like, word? I was like, yeah, it is a nice watch, man. Why you ask? No, he said, how much does it cost? I said, why? So now they like, they stand. I was like, man, y'all got to clear this area out, man. Y'all got to clear the area out. Y'all can't even stand in front of the hotel because y'all scaring people away. Y'all standing in front of this restaurant. Y'all got to go ahead, man. And they just looking at shit, kind of walking like little scrubs and shit. And they just walked away into the dark, but they kind of walked away like right to where you couldn't see them no more, right? So, mind you, I'm in the town. These people could crowd this whole outside out because they've been running the whole town. So I go back in. As I'm going back in, man, I haven't even performed yet. As I go back in, they standing all at the damn door when I come in and shit. All of them standing at the door. What happened? What happened? I'm like, man, nothing happened. Now, I could have got fucked up out here in this country, man. Right? But I handled my man with respect. They backed off because he was in there earlier. He was sitting there earlier when we checked in. He was sitting around. So you never know, like in this town, but talked his ass down, calmed his ass down, and he walked away and he didn't try to come into the show no more. Keith come off the stage. He don't know what the fuck going on. He like, what are y'all talking about? I'm like, yo, bro, I'm outside surrounded. My manager, Steve, who's looking in the window, his ass didn't come in. Now, he was an older guy, too. I will say Steve might have been 60-something and shit, so he just be riding. When we go over there, he's actually from Auckland, New Zealand. But when we go, he hops in and rides the country with us as we do these shows and shit. So this was a small show, but, man, when I tell you they ass had my motherfucking pressure up, and I ain't gonna even try to act like I was hard. I just had to show respect and let them know that it's somebody else here. I'm like, it's Americans in here, motherfucker. So, yeah, mongrel gang members, man. And I'm gonna tell you, the next day, the owner of the hotel and his wife thanked me so much, man. Thanked me so much. They was giving me all type of New Zealand shit I really wasn't gonna do nothing with. But they was trying to give me things like, thank you, that guy has been terrorizing our business. We've been losing money because of this guy. So, way over in another country, the shit almost went up and motherfucking down. So, yeah, crazy times over in New Zealand. Shout out to everybody in New Zealand, man. Pataru, they're my people, man. For more stories like this, make sure y'all subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the link so you can get the stories first. It's your man, Kevin Tate, and I'm out. Peace.